Hello, family, and welcome to Amazing Parents Network. I am the host of this show. My name is Ali Lankarani, Dr. L, the Parent Whisperer. I'm a clinical neuroscientist, and I am very happy that you have taken the time to be here with us tonight. We have dozens of experts that are going to be presenting in the upcoming months. These are called the Family Education Series. Please invite your friends and family to come and benefit from the resources and the expertise that is going to be presented here. We're glad to have you here. We're glad to have our experts. Enjoy tonight's presenter. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. This is Justine Reiss with the Empowered Voice and talking about how do we reclaim our voices and have global impact. And I've been thinking a lot about how ritual and coming home to ourselves can have a global impact, and also how it can help us sort of reconnect with ourselves in a world that is currently, I think, always shifting and changing. I think we have to accept the fact that there is change happening all the time. And it's sort of a funny thing because we tend to resist change, yet it's happening around us all the time. The seasons are a great way of reminding us that there's change happening all the time. And we're entering fall, where there's a shedding of leaves. And if we can use that for ourselves, I think sometimes in a metaphor to shed what isn't serving us anymore. And that, in terms of reclaiming your voice, is part of the process, is detaching from stories that may have kept you small or kept you from trying something that you really wanted to try. And I think what I talked about in the very first episode of this series was sort of going through a sort of a toolkit to look at reflecting on when our voices felt free, usually when we were kids, somewhere between like 7 and 10 years old even. There seems to be some connection back to that phase of life. So reflecting back on that moment. And was there a moment that there was somehow somebody shut you down, or you felt that you were not able to have that freedom anymore? And then really meditating into that story to get the transformation, to discover what is your inner voice saying now? And is it really having some of those desires back to when you felt free? And I used an example of when my teacher shut me down, and I had written a story called The Sexy Snowflake. So it gave me this feeling that my ideas were, racy or inappropriate. And then the next year not being able to be in a play because my grades weren't good enough. So sort of attaching this intellectual thing to my creativity. But before you do any of that, it's important to know, where do you want to go? What do you want to get back to? And one way of doing that is to stand in our future, to ask ourselves, what did I do in this moment to get to that place? As opposed to, I want to get over there, but it feels so far away. This is sort of interesting to do without any participation. So I'm going to invite you in to take a moment and ask yourself, what is the thing I really, really want to do if I were to stand in my future and have the life of my dreams, where everything was the way I wanted it? And sometimes that is very hard to see because we are so blocked with our limitations, with the things that are in our way. So I think I'm going to invite us in to actually record a little meditation around this. And sit comfortably and roll out your arms. I know I am very tight right now. And your face. this is always, as a voiceover talent, our faces hold a lot of tension. And we want to free that up when we're recording, because a lot of our vocal interpretation and our emotions are going to come through our voice, but only when our face is free and we are using our hands. So I always invite everyone to like really get, give yourself a little massage, get clear with your, if anyone's participating. I think that's the key, is to like get into, this is an area that we hold a lot of tension in her jaw. So giving a little massage, taking your thumbs, rubbing them here, and then kind of shaking out like that. Okay. So, and then even, stretching your arms up and using your voice in what we call a sweep exercise. Ah, and just getting it out. Ah. All right. So I'm inviting you into a stillness. And you can put your hands on your heart and take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. When we're breathing, even, we want to breathe from our deep, from our waistband here. No, you lost me for a second. And take a breath in on 3, hold for 3, and exhale. All the air out. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, hold 1, 2, 3, exhale 1, 2, 3. Inhale 1, 2, 3, hold 1, 2, 3, exhale 1, 2, 3. And let your breathing come to a very natural place. And I want you to imagine a future version of yourself where you are living the life of your dreams. Everything is exactly as you would always want it. It's like you rubbed a magic lamp and everything is there. Your relationships are the way you want them. Your career is the way you want it. And maybe let's focus on the area of work. And thinking back to that thing that you did when you were a kid that really gave you life, that really felt expressive and creative and uninhibited. And you can be doing that thing. And as your adult version of yourself, we are the ones that get to reparent that little kid. So let yourself be in this space of play, uninhibited. And who's there? And if you could inject that piece of yourself into yourself now, what would you be doing? What would you be creating? Who would you be helping? And just notice where you are. Are you indoor? Are you outdoor? Are there people around? Is it a stage? It is a tiny room where you get to write your novel and launch it into the world. Whatever fear surrounds the thing that you wish you could be doing, or you've said, if I could go back and do it over, I would. Fill in the blank. And what if you could? And just notice what colors, what are you wearing? What is in this vision that's making you see and feel that you're doing what you want and living this vision of your life that's beyond your wildest dreams? And if it comes in fuzzy or gray, that's okay. And then take one more breath into the vision. And I want you to think of one tiny, tiny action to take that would get you toward that dream. It could be writing an email to someone. It could be looking on LinkedIn for something. It could be just putting pen to paper. And in order to have that vision, what is the energy that you would like in your life right now? And 1, 2, or 3 words, whatever comes to you, is the right word. The energy that you want to embody to live the life of your dream. Inhale into that moment, that word. Maybe take your hands, rub them together. What is your inner voice saying? And when I count to 3, I want you to say the word out loud. 1, 2, 3. And then write that down. And what that word can be for us is like a mantra that can carry us through a time of doubt. And when I teach voiceover, I have a lot of people that come into the rooms, and I get a lot of excitement about the work, but fear around what it's going to take to get there, and fear that it won't work out. So there has to be a lot of other reasons that we do things that aren't just for this final outcome. So for in this example, it's I'm coming into voiceover because I want a voiceover job. But what people don't realize is they're going to learn how to use their voices, which is a skill and something you get to keep no matter if you get a voiceover job or not. So there's got to be reasons for why we do things. And part of that has to do with who do we want to be? How do we want to show up in the world? That is one way to reclaim our voices. To not only think about the thing we want to do, but who do we want to be? And, for me, if I want to share my message with the world, I want to use my voice in a way that is impactful, that can have global impact, that I can get past all the fear around the things that I am afraid I'm not going to do, or that I don't have enough money, to get back into a state of abundance, that the things that I want can come towards me, rather than my fear will push the things away that I really want in my life. And it's just so easy to live a life in this constrained, tight, and it's literally like this. And if you take your fists and you do this, and then you open them up, this is a much easier way to live. But we kind of depending on our conditioning. So when I go back to the stories from my past, I can think of how, this little kid fought her way, was uncomfortable in her home because of things that were going on in my house. So how do I stop doing this and start having the open palm? And that is where I like to invite this idea of ritual into our lives. And we could even think about, what rituals did we do in my own house or in my own traditions? In my case, it's Judaism, which is a religion that I, in many ways, rejected. It felt strict and constricted, but we just completed what we call the 10 days of awe. And when I look at the tradition and the ritual involved in those 10 days, there's some beautiful stuff in there that I can maybe let go of the stuff that doesn't serve me, but I can really embrace the stuff that does. And I recently got an opportunity to go down to a place called the MEA, which is known as the Modern Elder Academy. And there's a man by the name of Chip Connolly that created the Modern Elder Academy. And he is a hotelier and became the leader at or one of the co-founders of Airbnb. And he was working with, I think he was maybe in his 40s, and he was working with a lot of younger people in their 20s. And they called him a modern elder. And he came to realize that this age range of, 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond, 70s, we're living longer. And there is a phase where we're supposed to have it all figured out, and maybe on retiring. And our retiring used to mean I'm going to sit back or travel or not work as hard and live off my retirement money and my retirement accounts. But retirement is becoming now, what do I want to do next? How do I want to birth the next idea? How do I want to spread my wings and fly? And I know for me, retirement is probably something I'm never going to technically do. I changed my life in this age bracket, and I'm not alone. A lot of women and a lot of men are finding themselves empty nesting. Well, you spend all this time being a parent to your children. How do you reclaim the person that you were before that and give yourself the time and space to do those things? So through the voice, that has been something that's been very joyous for me, is to learn how to use my voice. And I know I've shared some of my different techniques to do that in the past with graphs and placement, and working on where do I want to have this this voice that I can use in a new way, in a more powerful way, a more impactful way, and potentially have global impact. So when I go back to these traditions in Judaism, starting with Rosh Hashanah, which is the new year, celebrating the new year. We all have celebrations of a new year. The year is a cycle. It's round. The globe is round. So there's this, we make round bread. So when we were down at the Modern Elder Academy, we were on a bread team, and we had to make bread. And so we decided to do the story of the Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippur. So the concept is you have 10 days of repentance and thinking about the things you want to do differently. And it's really great to have those thoughts, not dwell in them. And there's a symbolic thing we do called tashlik, where we take bread and we throw it in the water. And that symbolism of letting go of the things that don't serve us. It's supposed to be like cast your sins off. So, the things that you would be saying, I'm sorry for, and this does not bypass the idea that you would have an amends of some kind. But we want to just give the energy to the letting go of it. And so the physical action, just like I had a physical action with, loosening up the face or doing the meditation, the physical action of casting the crumbs into a moving body of water is very metaphoric. It's very healing. So in essence, what do we want? What story do you want to detach from that isn't serving you anymore, where you felt shut down, where you felt quiet, and you can just be done with it, but you don't want to not look at it? So my mentor and coach has let me see if I can find the slide, and I would share it with you, has the theory where we go from light plus shadow light plus shadow plus action equals transformation. And the force through it is meditation, coming back to the stillness, to not bypass the things that we, didn't serve us. And I think one way to do that vocally is to look at where we felt shut down, and how can we sort of free that up again in a really a powerful way, so we can sort of detach from these stories and then get back into this vision. So sometimes it helps to look at the vision first. And write down the things that, what does that vision look like? And you could even take a few minutes and jot a few things down. I talk about the 3 or 4 P's in the voice, and I call them pitch, pacing, physicality, and pause. And how high or low we say something can add excitement. I often use this idea of, or this phrase, I love chocolate. If I say, I love chocolate, and I use my hands, I'm up higher, my pitch is higher. The excitement comes in, the adding the speed, so the pacing. And then if I want to, I have a graph that I often show that shows these different, using these different, I'm going to pull up the graph right now. I've shown it before, but this is where we get into the actual expression of our, how we say things, literally how we say things. And I think being able to get back to all these, the idea of where did ritual, serve us in our strategy to get past the fears that hold us back. And so I've found that so often this is what I run into. So where is fear holding you back from the thing, or where are you saying to yourself, it's too late, I'm too old, I weigh too much, I have this, it's beyond repair. It's never beyond repair. We can always get back to something that is serving us and is working for us. And I think the idea of getting back to the ritual is coming home to ourselves. And then we can do that through meditation. So we can get through the finding that magical voice again. If you had your little kid, what would you say to that little kid now? Don't let blank stop you. And this may not be true for everyone, but most of us, I have found so many people, even if you love your job, that you can still have a creative outlet that serves both a job you don't like or a job you do like. And I have tried to show that to my kids too, that there's a ripple effect of this idea of standing in your future. And my son did that. He last year, he was unsure what he was going to do with his career and his life. And he had to move back in with me due to some circumstances of his living situation. He was not happy about that. It felt like a step back. But we really got, serious to look at, well, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? And he wanted to be a graphic artist. And so I said, well, write it down. And I said, what is something that a job you would love? And I think it's sometimes so hard for youth or any of us to really imagine ourselves standing in our future or what we really want, because it seems so far away. But it's literally like, if the future is here, if we're here looking at the future, I'm going to try and find some pictures to show you guys. When we reverse engineer it. So I said, write it down, right? And he said, I would love to be a graphic artist at a record label or work at an art gallery. I said, great, write it down. And then I kind of let him sit with that. He was still in school and he was taking graphic artist, different kinds of classes, learning how to do fonts, different things. And a year later, he got a job as a graphic artist at a record label. And I think it directly correlated to the fact that he got to put the vision out there without it feeling so far away. A friend of his got a job at a record label and got him an interview, but he was prepared. This is where I come up with this idea of opportune. What is opportune? When opportunity meets preparation. And that's where those small actions that we are taking in our life can come very clearly towards us because we are taking action towards them. Let's see if I can okay, I found these slides. I think if I'm able to share my screen, I'm going to go through these 2 slides really quickly. Okay. So this is how we normally do it. You guys tell me if you can't see this. We normally ask ourselves, what should I do to make my vision come true? Here we are. And this is I got from Justin Michael Williams. Looking towards my future. And it feels far, far, far away. That's what I think my son was doing. Okay, way over there is maybe a job as a graphic artist or in an art gallery. And for me, what is where I am now and what my future vision is? So a lot of my students, I want to be a voiceover talent. I want to record commercials. I want to record audiobooks, but I have no idea how. So this gets to be like this messy middle, and then it's so easy to go, forget it. But if we switch it and say, here I am, I'm standing over here now. I'm standing in the future. What did I do to make the vision come true? That is a very different scenario. And when we allow ourselves to do that dream bigger, meditation, sit with it, and then it can be one tiny action. So for him, a year ago, that tiny action might have been, I'm going to take a class in font creation. He's majoring in graphic arts. For me, if I want to speak on bigger stages, I might say, I'm going to look on LinkedIn today for anyone I know who I could mentor with or who's with the Speakers Bureau. And the idea of doing one tiny action a day, which is less, we tend to make these big, long to-do lists, and to-do lists are great. They're great to be organized with, but the idea of doing a power action, this is something I learned from Justin also, a tiny action a day, and then you can see how these little actions lead us. He wanted to be a singer, and he ended up being, a Billboard charting singer by taking little actions. And sometimes it might be, I'm going to go for a walk today. And one of the things that we talk about, or Justin talks about, making that one action really attainable, something I can win at. So my one action can be